Let us see questions. Okay. Oh ho ho. Okay, lots of questions. All right. How can one stand in the face of evil or harm to the weak and helpless without being moved or suffering? What do I need to understand that can help me? Very wonderful question, important question. It is perfectly natural to be moved and to be affected if someone else is harmed. That is natural. It's a natural human tendency. Only two kinds of people are exempted from this kind of a response, and those are people with what is that? Sociopaths and psychopaths. So some mental problems, poor things, and they are unable to have that empathy. Empathy is a natural human tendency. However, having said that, so it's natural that terrible train disaster that happened in India, 300 people just died, and naturally the heart goes out, and this is a human tendency. So, having said that, we should remember that there is such a thing called some people are in some people that empathy is more than certain others. So if you are one of those people who has uh, a lot of empathy and you seem to be suffering a lot whenever some kind of a disaster happens or some, as you said, injustice happens, etc., if you are one of those people, then I would say that there is, along with the empathy, we need to develop some healthy boundaries. Nothing wrong in having healthy boundaries. Because if we don't have some healthy boundaries, if we don't know where we end and the other person begins, then it is difficult. There is a enmeshment. There is an enmeshment, and then I'm not, if I get enmeshed, then I'm not in a position to help myself or the other. I'm not able to help another, and I also start suffering along with them, and then there is a then somebody has to come and help me. That is what happens. So therefore, the healthy boundary, practicing having soft and healthy boundaries, is an important part of what Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, called the individuation process. Individuation here means, in his terminology, means coming to one's own, growing to a place of independence, not being affected and not being completely influenced by all kinds of forces, and being taken here and there, dragged here and there like a dog's chew toy. Like how the dog will just chew the ball and drag it around and put it somewhere, and then later it remembers and then it chews it some more. So one is not dragged around by circumstances. And so this is an important part of the individuation process. The individuation process means getting to know the self, relatively speaking. We are not talking about we are not talking about yeah, please don't interrupt when I'm talking, unless it is some kind of a important thing, you cannot hear me or something, or you want to remind me to record. Otherwise, don't do that. Okay? Yeah. So because it disturbs. Once we say the opening prayer, we don't do that unless it's a you cannot hear me or there is some problem. So now, when the individuation process is important. The individuation process has a means coming to one's own. What does it mean to come to one's own? Knowing the self relatively. We are not talking about knowing Atma is Satchidananda. There is no way of knowing that. How are you going to know Atma is Satchidananda? Without instruction, without Guru, without Vedanta, you're not going to know. You're not going to know at all. And then, so therefore what? So therefore, we are talking of knowing the self relatively. Who am I in the world? What is my place? What are my strengths? What are my challenges? What are my limitations? What are the errors that I seem to keep making in the course of my life? And what are my triggers? What are the issues that I need to resolve? How good am I at managing my anger? How good am I at managing disappointment when things don't come to me immediately? This is all ways of relatively knowing the self, and it is very much part of the individuation process. Individuation means developing all these things. Sometimes before giving up the raga dveshas, you have to know what they are. So if how to give up without knowing? If one is inherited the raga dveshas from the parents or the caregivers or the group of relatives, there is a kind of a group identity, and one has not individuated, then this kind of a empathy, over empathy, or some way in which the individual, if the individuation process is blocked, either one becomes completely aloof and does not care about anything, or one becomes very one becomes extremely one becomes extremely empathic, and then one wants to resolve everybody's problems. That is just not possible. You can help. No, if you can help financially, if you can help physically, if you can help emotionally, please do. But no good comes out of suffering with others, even though the literal meaning of compassion in Latin supposedly is to suffer with others. To suffer with others is not going to help them or you. So, keeping the loving and the caring, retaining that, one can have a little more space, an inner space where I watch my reactions and watch my responses and watch the other person as well. And through this, one develops, more empathy. And sometimes the suffering is because it triggers something deep within oneself. Maybe that suffering, because of which you have empathy to others, because of which you are suffering those issues, are there are some seeds in you that this uh, injustice, difficulty, disaster is triggering in you. And so that one thing must be loved up. I encourage you to love that up. I encourage you to completely be with that, and then gain some objectivity looking at the situation. Okay. Yeah. So then, let's see. Next question. As a grihastha, which means householder, is it all right to say no to others' desires in order for me to pursue Vedanta study? By saying no, will one incur more prarabdha? Well, I have to say no to that now. So, uh, so the no, you will not incur more prarabdha by saying no. Okay, and because there is a because see, other people's desires means it's a fine line. It's a fine line. So it depends on what the other people's desires are, and also it also depends on what the not only what the other people's desires are, on what kind of an agreement you have with the other person in your life. What have you promised them? And whether you have promised them overtly or covertly by your actions. What kinds of agreements, subtle, overt or covert, you have with them? That needs to be examined. And so, if there has been an agreement that I'm going to make you feel better each time you are depressed, and then you please also do the same for me, that expectation is there. And then suddenly Vedanta study has made you feel better, and so, at least for now, and so you want to say, I'm not going to make you feel better. This is in close families and significant others, etc. Then that agreement has to be honestly renegotiated. Renegotiated. Yeah, as I said, please do not interrupt unless you cannot hear me. Okay? Yeah, please do not interrupt. So that is the idea. All right. Yeah. So because I take the comments, I read them, because I think perhaps people cannot hear me, especially with this tentative internet situation, etc. So please don't interrupt. So now, again, coming back to this question, um, the agreements that have been negotiated need to be renegotiated. So that way, the prarabdha will not accrue. That way, you are stating your intentions honestly. You are saying, I am undergoing a change because of this. I want you also to come along. Let us practice this together. Let us practice less dependency. Let us practice more healthy way of connecting to one another. Let us practice less ways of toxic issues, reproducing toxic issues. These ways, these are the ways in which we grow. These are the ways in which we grow, because we take accountability and responsibility. So then, if you do not fulfill other people's desires, then you are not accruing prarabdha. Now, if this is with significant others and close people, but then there is, again, depends on what kinds of significant others. So supposing there is family members who say, parents or etc. like that, they have expectations of you that you cannot fulfill, that also can be stated. I'm not going to do this. I'm not in a position to do this. Very sorry, but I'm not able to do this. And sometimes, one is afraid to bring that up because of the fear of hurting them. But really speaking, the fear of hurting them, they are going to, they also have brains, they also see what is happening. And so they are also seeing that their desires are not getting fulfilled. So you can have, again, here the point of healthy boundaries, etc., is the point of healthy boundaries keeps getting reiterated here. So when I have healthy boundaries, I'm able to say, this is what I can and cannot do. And then, oh, if you still have this need and desire, let me make some other arrangement for you to you to have this, so that I don't have to be doing this. So this way, this way everybody is on board. And yes, they may still get hurt and whatnot, but now that is on them, because they have to deal with that. Now that becomes no longer becomes your issue, that becomes their issue, because you have already very kindly stated what to do. And then what's that, how to be, etc. You have kindly stated your own growth process, you have stated your desire for Vedanta, whatever else you wanted to do. So you have done that. So you are absolved of this, and that is how to proceed in life. One more question. What can one do in order to overcome the fear of missing out, which seems to be very much present even after years of studying and practicing? Now, that's a very good thing to notice, and a good thing to admit also. That too in public, it's not easy. So this is because there is it is a difficult issue. So it's not easy to tell everybody, okay, I have this issue. But in saying that itself, there is some healing happening, because you have made it into a social fact. You have admitted it in public. So the fear of missing out comes from not from a certain what should I say, from a certain need to develop the dridata muscle. Dridata means certainty. Certainty in one's pursuit, certainty in one's way of going, and then deciding and letting this fear die a very natural death, by telling oneself that I cannot have everything all the time. Not possible. So this is true, not possible. So then you have a little funeral and mourn the loss of all the things you cannot have. Literally, you do that. So whatever you feel like you're missing out, list them on a piece of paper and then give it a little cremation. Just mourn the loss. Yes, I'm so sad. I can't do this, and I can't do this, and I can't do this. I would like to do A, B, C, D, and E all at once, but I can't do that. Why? Because I committed to F. So fear of missing out is nothing other than fear of commitment. And fear of commitment comes from, just that. It is just that. It's just the worry that something terrible will happen if I commit. So I like to be a butterfly. I want to sip from that flower, this flower, everything, and then just be flying around. And that's okay. That's perfectly okay. But that is not what you have chosen in this life. That is not what you have chosen in this life. And so therefore, this is the so you have to sit down and see what is it that you really want. Because this is the example I gave one time, and it is like two boats going in divergent directions. They are going in different directions. Like this they are going. And what am I doing? I have one foot in one boat and another foot in another boat. And it is going like that. And therefore it's painful. It's painful because if I just say, okay, let me put both the feet in this boat, then that boat is leaving. So then I try to jump over to that boat, get wet in the process, but somehow scramble, and some people help and pull me into that boat, and I'm not happy there either. And then I come back to this boat, and then I drive myself crazy. So, uh, so there is nothing wrong really in, I mean, if we are talking about Vedanta study can be done in a pursuit, can be pursued along with other pursuits. So long as you keep this in the forefront, and so long as you do this, it can be pursued alongside with other pursuits. There is no problem in that. There is no problem in that at all. So that should give a little bit of a ease, in the sense that one will not come to grief if one pursues this, if one pursues this easily. One will not come to grief, and one can pursue Vedanta, that is in the forefront, and all the other things that I'm doing are for antahkarana shuddhi, for developing more yama, niyama, etc., more compassion, accommodation, discipline in my life. So that is how one can slowly grow. But that is something, it's a healthy way to go about it, especially if you don't know what is it that one wants, or if one wants many things at once and one cannot decide. This is the way to go about it, bit by bit. Bit by bit we do that. Bit by bit we approach things that are core issues. Bit by bit we heal. And then on the empirical level, mourn the loss of all the things you cannot have right now. Mourn the loss, and then that mourning will give you more clarity about what is it that you really want. And then it will give you the ability to commit without being afraid that you will be taken over, or that you will feel stifled or claustrophobic. Okay, yeah. Then what else is there? Um, Brahmanishtatvam. How can they, and how can people understand about Brahmanishtatvam? Brahmanishtatvam means, you can't understand. Only a Brahmanistha can understand another Brahmanistha. Brahmanistha means fully living Brahman, breathing Brahman, eating Brahman, drinking Brahman all the time. That is a qualification of a teacher. That you cannot do that unless one is a Brahmanistha themselves. And so what to do? So in choosing the teacher, look for a shrotriya. Shrotriya means the one who comes from a sound lineage, and the one who has studied under their teacher, and the one who does not distort the words of the Upanishad. That is the idea. Okay, yeah. So then there is one more. Uh, a related question, similar question. A mumukshu listens to the Guru Parampara's guidelines and implements them with an open mind and faith pending understanding initially. Later, after Shravanam and Mananam, the mumukshu realized that Guruji gave the guidelines from the Shastra only. What is critical for a mumukshu? Shravanam of the what is critical for a mumukshu? Shravanam of Shastra or Guruji's guidelines? In fact, both are one and the same, as you yourself have pointed out. So, what is the definition of shraddha? The definition of shraddha is shastrasya guruvakyasya satya buddhi avadharana. Dharana. Dharana means the ability to hold. The ability to hold for a length of time, that whatever the Guru is saying and whatever the Shastra is saying, both of those things, Acharya and Shastra, are mentioned together in the definition of Shraddha, both in the Viveka Chudamani, which I just quoted, and also in Tattva Bodha. Both of them are important. Both of them are important. And this is exactly the thing we have to understand. Both of those are important. Why are both of them important? Because the Guru, being a Shrotriya, will only talk about the Shastra. Especially when one is giving guidelines, then they will come from the Shastra only. The Guru doesn't have any agenda for your life. The Guru, if it's a Shrotriya, he will not have any agenda for your life. The Guru is not trying to live by extension through you and ask you to do this, that, etc. In fact, the Guru will not give any guidelines for your life. The Guru will simply give some things if you solicit the advice. And then what is given is the Shastra alone. So Shravanam is Shravanam of Shastra and Shravanam of Guru's guidelines. Both are the same. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, this I have already answered. What does the committed pursuit of Shreyas look like for the householder? What type of pursuits will help me establish commitment? So, committed pursuit for a householder is just that. You prioritize Vedanta and all the other duties, obligations, and things you want to do and the desires you want to fulfill, take a back step. So they are all pursued, no doubt, but they subserve, and all the desires I want to fulfill become means for my self-growth. All the relationships that I have to maintain become means for self-growth. All the things that I have to do become means for self-growth. I'm not a karma phala hog. And when I drop the desire to keep on accruing karma phala, then what happens is that then you are firmly established in your commitment. Then another one, why does Lord Krishna encourage Arjuna to fight? Uh, encourage Arjuna to fight the Mahabharata from the spiritual angle, ethical angle, and worldly angle. It's all one, really. The simple and honest answer to that question is because Arjuna is not ready to drop everything and pursue moksha. He wants to, but he is not ready. And that readiness is determined by Lord Krishna. Because in the second chapter, he says, I want to leave everything and go to Haridwar. In the beginning of the second chapter, he says, from Kurukshetra to Rishikesh, not very far, and I can just go. I can just go there and be there, and then I don't have to worry about it. Sit under a tree, somebody will throw a few rotis in my bowl and a little money with which I can buy some clothes and I can live simply. And rather than fight this war, I'd rather take sannyasa. He says that. Arjuna does not put fuel on that desire. Because the desire to give up has come out of a frustration of the current situations. It is not come out of a vairagya that is natural or cultivated because of the desire for knowledge. He has neither viveka nor vairagya, the way he talks in the first chapter. So he is not ready for a life of a sadhu-like life or any kind of that kind of a life. He is not ready for that. And being not ready for that, it would be a travesty for him, for Lord Krishna to allow him to take sannyasa for two reasons. One is because precisely because he is not ready, and we cannot, and Lord Krishna is responsible for the universe, and he cannot unleash a person who's into the world as a sannyasi who has not developed who has not grown emotionally, and who has not developed emotionally, and so you cannot unleash a person into the world like that. Number one. Number two, there is something about this war that could not be avoided. Even Lord Krishna tried, and he could not mediate. That means what? It is a part of a collective prarabdha that must be undergone, and Arjuna's role here is to overcome these good for nothing people. And if you see some of these people, I mean, like some of these warriors who went to the other side, Bhishma, Drona, they were much more committed to protect the throne of Kurukshetra rather than the occupant of the throne, who was a thug, Duryodhana, who was a total thug and a terrorist. So they were committed to protecting the throne. And then, so what will you do? You'll protect any occupant. That was their mistake. And I mean, Bhishma, years of erudition, Drona, Acharya, so much respected, still makes the wrong decision. And so therefore, this war has to, and the only way to teach is through this war. It has to happen. And that's why Arjuna has to fight. No other reason. That's the main reason he has to do that. Yeah, Jagat is co-created. Yeah, it is there in the Panchadashi. I think chapter 2 is there, chapter 4 is there, and then Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is Saptanna Brahmana. There is one section called Saptanna Brahmana that also mentions that. Yeah, Saptanna Brahmana is there. Is there a way for us to know the right decision to take at any step of the journey, or is it something that only enlightened beings can tell in advance? The journey cannot be, the journey cannot be all known, especially the journey of life. Then what's the point of living? It should be a surprise. We have to deal with what comes. There is no advance notice. And even if, let's say, you have an advance notice that something is going to happen, what can you do to prepare? Not much. You still have to face it. You still have to feel bad if it is, in fact, you feel bad twice. Let's say you get an advance notice that something bad is going to happen. So you feel bad when you get that notice, and then you feel bad when that event happens, like this train disaster. So you get the advance notice, and then you also get the notice from Bhagavan, let us say, that you cannot prevent it. This cannot be prevented. This has to happen. Still, you phone up all the people in the railways in Odisha, and then you tell them this is what is happening and everything, and they'll say, who are you? Are you out of your mind? All this is not going to happen. Scenario number one. Scenario number two, let's say they listen to you and they make some adjustments, and then it still happens. What are you going to do? And so you feel sad twice. So this way, at least, there is that dread and anticipation is not there. Nothing much is gained out of trying to sit in Ishvara's head and trying to foretell what is going to happen. If you know, I mean, you may know sometimes, you may not know sometimes, and sometimes you may get a hint through certain things that happen in your life, and through certain omens familiar to you. There are certain things. Something slips and drops from your hand. Oh, I was just being careless. That is one way to look at it. Oh, but generally this doesn't happen. So there is a reason for this carelessness or mindlessness. Maybe I need to look, look into this more deeply. What does this symbolize? Some people are very good at looking at the things in their life and interpreting those in the light of where they need to go and what is happening in their life. And when one stops and becomes more attuned to one's ways of being, perhaps one will get some signs of how to live. It doesn't have to be only jnanis. Even jnani wannabes can get some signs how to proceed forward. No, this is a door that is shut, and right now it cannot be open. This door is welcoming and open. Go through here. Like this, one gets signs and one listens to them. Sometimes we don't listen. The signs come, but we don't listen. And then when we don't listen, what happens? They stop coming. That is also there. And sign means Bhagavan. That's all, Bhagavan only. Okay. Yeah. Arthadhyasa and Jnanadhyasa. Uh, Arthadhyasa and Jnanadhyasa. Arthadhyasa is a mistake which, upon understanding the mistake, is a mistake that happens, and then upon understanding and correcting that mistake, the perception is no longer there. The mistaken perception has gone when the mistake itself is corrected. Like what? Like mother of pearl and silver. Mistaking the mother of pearl for the silver. Mistaking the rope for snake. When the snake goes, when the when the silver goes, then you no longer see that on the rope. You no longer see that. And then, so this is called Arthadhyasa. Jnanadhyasa has to do with Ishvara Srishti, Ishvara's, Ishvara's creation, manifestation. And in this Ishvara's creation, you may see something and you may know that the sun is not really setting, or even, extremely speaking, the whole Jagat is nothing but mithya. It's all mithya, mithya, mithya. If you know, then what happens? If you know, but still the Jagat is not going to disappear, is it? No. Jagat is going to be there. This is Jnanadhyasa. Now, where does the snake come from that is put on the rope? It comes from the fear. And fear is part of the unconscious mind. It comes from the fear. Snake, etc., comes from the fear. And then mother of pearl. Why do I keep seeing it again and again? Well, generally speaking, one doesn't see it again and again. But if one is seeing again and again, that means there is a desire, the raga for the silver and the dvesha for the snake are very, very strong. That's why one keeps seeing the objects of fear and desire even though they are not there. So then we go back to ragadvesha management. That is what we have to do. Then what else? How to determine if the tiksha versus the action to change is needed in a given situation without being influenced by ragadvesha? Very good question. How do I understand if something I have to put up with or something that can be changed? You try to change. That's the first thing. But then if there are obstacles in the way, then you know that it cannot be changed, at least for right now. And you gave example, job, relationships, etc. Now, with relation to job and relationships, this is not something you can change every single day. Just like you change clothes every day, you can't change the job and change the relationship. It is crazy making. and it's not possible also. So it may happen 2-3 times in life. Oh, hopefully that's however many times it will happen. And so so that is a big decision. So so there is a way in which the tiksha helps. So you put up with it. Put up doesn't mean be a doormat. You be an observer and say, see, okay, what is it triggering in me? You resolve the issues that are triggered by this for you. You resolve the issues, and then you see where is it that you're going with it. And when you resolve the issues, then maybe you don't mind being in that job or in that relationship because you have resolved your issues. And if the issues are not so easily resolvable, you know what they are, and it's not so easily resolvable, ask yourself the question, if you look for another job or another relationship, is this going to be better? Have I learnt my lesson in not choosing these kinds of people in my life, and not choosing these kinds of situations in my life? Have I learned the lesson? How will I choose the next job differently? And if it is karmic, will the same kind of boss be there in the next job also? That also you don't know. So you try it, and if it happens again, you just say, okay, Bhagavan has given me this little hump here. I am going to not keep trying to burn my fingers again and again, and I'm just going to overcome this through the tiksha and other ways. That is how to do that for self growth. What should one consider when choosing between two dharmic actions? Both of them occur at the same time on an ongoing basis. Attending Vedanta class and volunteering. That's up to you. Yeah, that's an issue for you to resolve. So both are, and again, I would not consider, here is a hint, I would not consider Vedanta as a dharmic action. Yeah. I would not. Volunteering, yes, is a dharmic action. So here is the problem. Here is the problem. So Vedanta, the study of Vedanta gives punya, yes. So in that sense, it's a dharmic action. But for a person to study Vedanta, that should not be the motivation. That I am entering into a dharmic action, and that is also a dharmic action. The other one, what did you say? Volunteering or something. So, oh my God, how to choose? Because they are happening exactly at 9 o'clock at night. And so how to choose between the two? So this quandary perhaps can be helped by understanding that the reason to pursue Vedanta should not be due to the fact that it is a dharmic action. The reason to pursue Vedanta is because I don't know myself, and I am troubled by samsara. I have confusion, I have pain, I have fear, I have sorrow, and therefore I want to be free. The reason for pursuing Vedanta is not for the sake of dharma, but for the sake of moksha. Those are two different pursuits. So when you know that there are two different pursuits and they are not both, both cannot be put on a same par, then I hope it will be easier for you to choose. Then, in the transactional world, mumukshu forgets all and immerses into the work or family issues. What is the way to stay focused on absolute reality consciousness? Keep taking classes, keep doing shravanam. And we hone in the shravanam. The shravanam has to become like a meditation. I don't look here and look there. This is shravanam. Right now what we are doing is shravanam. But then all kinds of ideas come. Complaints come in the mind. This is not happened, that is not happened, you have not done this, you have not done that. Complaints come in the mind. and omissions and commissions come up in the mind. And then, oh, I want to share a joke comes to mind. All that the thoughts, you don't have a power over the thoughts coming to the mind, but there is a filter. You are in charge of that filter. Let the thought come, you let it go. Let the thought come, you let it go. Then it becomes a momentary distraction and you are back on track. But if you entertain the thought and act on the thought, then the shravanam gets disturbed. So first we learn to do shravanam, and it's not quantity, it's not the number of classes you listen to, but it is how you listen. You hone into the shravanam so that it becomes a meditation. So you are focused and you are not carried away hither and thither by various things. That is the that is the way to stay focused. Yeah. And what else? How to not get caught up in the daily drama and stay only with Rama. It is easy, actually. It's not very hard. Keep going back. Practice open eye meditation. Keep going back to yourself. Keep coming back to the place of Sakshi, observer. So yes, I'm caught in the drama. Oh no, I participated in it, but now I'm back. Now I'm Atma. Oh, I became Jiva, in Jiva mode. Now I'm tired. Now I'm upset. Now I'm just this thing. Atma mode. Yes, fresh, ever present, ever free. Oh no, Jiva attack. Yeah, that's what you have to do. So Jiva attack will happen, but then you get back into Atma mode. You get back into Atma mode repeatedly, as many times as is needed in the course of the day. In the beginning, it will be deliberate. You have to keep reminding yourself. After a course of time, it will come naturally. It will come on its own. So from Jiva mode, I go to Atma mode. That is what I do. And then this is another one. How will I know if it is suitable for me to leave everything and live a spiritual life in an ashram? Very nice that you're even thinking of it. That's wonderful. So do a little trial. Yeah. Do a little baby trial. And so, you can join a 3-month course, 6-month course, and then try it out. Try out the ashram life and then see what it is like. See if you are able to do this. And so that is the way. And then, uh, feelings will come up, thoughts will come, ideas will come, some clarity will also come. And then don't, if you're ready to immerse, completely immerse. If not, go back to your life and then again take 2-3 months off and then come and do some camps. Do some camps, do some things frequently, and then you can decide. And then, so that, and even at home, you can have an ashram life, ashram-esque life. You can do that. You can, make your home a place of nididhyasana, shravana and nididhyasana. You can make a home, your home, an abode, a temple of karma yoga. That is how you can do that. Yeah. I think I've covered everything. That is, yeah, always works out. Let's see what else. Yeah, 2 dharmic actions. Um, why does he encourage to fight? Yes, done. Wonderful. correct way to do shravanam, correct way to do shravanam is see it as a meditation. See it as a meditation. Keep listening. And it's not the quantity, it's also the quality. How you listen. Take notes. When you take notes, you remember more. There is better recall. Take notes. Look at the notes. Look at the gray areas and listen even more carefully. And make a commitment to listening carefully. That is how to hone in the shravanam. So that is how it is. And that's the next question also, how to assimilate. That is what it is. We are talking of shravanam. Nididhyasanam is not even needed if shravanam does its job. So stay with it. Stay with shravanam. Stay with shravanam. Lots of ideas will come and lots of confusion may be there. And those ideas, you just suspend those ideas for now. Hang them on a hook before coming to class. Hang them on a hook and listen. Those ideas are not going anywhere. They are part of your psyche. You will have them. Don't worry. Even if they are confusing, hang them on a hook. Right now, I'm just going to listen. Because one has to listen after emptying. So instead of rushing to class, this is also what we tell the people in the 6-month course, to assemble 5-10 minutes before the class starts, before the teacher comes. And you sit there, you take the time to arrive, you're not rushing, and then you chant something or you sit quietly. And so that is also important here, to hone in the shravanam. Instead of scrambling to turn on the computer at the last minute, turn it on, sit there. And that's why this classroom is not password protected, nothing. You can just go in and wait. You can just sit and wait, chant something, and take the time to arrive. Take the time to hang up the notions so that you don't get hung up on them. That's what happens if you don't hang up the notions. They will hang you. All kinds of ideas come, all kinds of things come. And so allow that to recede, and just, even if they come, just say, right now, not right now. That dridata should be there. And that is what we practice. We practice listening closely, as though our lives depended on it. So imagine if one is in a shipwreck, okay? Unfortunately, one is in a shipwreck, and then the captain is giving instructions on evacuation, and you don't know how to swim. And so you're listening with the total attention. And even if somebody is saying something, you say, shh, not now. Just, I have to listen. These instructions are going to make a difference between glub, glub, glub and thriving and seeing another day. Same thing here. The instructions given in the class is going to make a difference between immersing further in samsara or coming out of samsara for airing and for understanding the truth of the self. That is how one has to listen, as though your life depends on it, because it does. It totally does. But then if we get the idea, oh, why should I listen? Tomorrow also there will be class. No problem if I miss today. It'll be on YouTube. And I can do it, but nobody does it. It is on YouTube, but then there is just that feeling it is on YouTube. But who takes the time? Very few people will take the time to go and look at it on YouTube as well. And so therefore, if you want me to help in this regard, I'm happy to reduce the number of classes taught per week, so that what people can do is to just listen to the ones that are there very, very, very closely, as though your life depends on it. Because it really, trust me, it really does. 。 ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ थैंक यू ॐ नमः शिवाय